about wellness on Humanity Rise.
All right, it's Wellness Wednesday, and we're joined on the line by Simone Momplé, who is a creative that uses motivation, film, dance to inspire content. She has a master's degree in psychology, and in 2016, she birthed GODANCE. Her research helped mold the values of this company, where they offer a space for people to explore themselves through dance. They offer dance workshops and movement wellness programs. These explore various aspects of dance for individuals to build self-esteem, confidence, as well as learning more about dance. So we're focusing on the holistic benefits of dance and movement for Wellness Wednesday today. Thank you so much for your time, Simone. Are you well today?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Yes, I'm doing really, really well. Thank you. How are you?
We're good. Thank you so much. Very excited to be speaking to you. I'm not much of a dancer myself, but I do enjoy, making movements. And I feel like, it is very soothing to be able to move and dance to music. So I'm really, really excited about this conversation. Tell us a little bit about your research and how you built it around dance and how it's linked to psychology.
Okay, awesome. So I was a dancer for most of my life, and I was in many, many different spaces doing competitions, performances, etc.
Yeah.
And I also transitioned into teaching dance fitness for a while as well. But I also had a keen interest in psychology for a lot of my life. And when I started studying psychology, I actually didn't know what I wanted to do with it. And once I had my honors, I really didn't know which direction. And then I realized that there's this connection that dance and psychology have. I kind of noticed the limitations of certain psychological interventions, and also the power of dance to actually influence the psyche and yourself. From my experiences, but also from watching other people as well.
Yeah.
And then I realized there's this thing called dance psychology that exists, and it's actually really beautiful because it actually just explores what happens to you when you dance, as well as what happens to you when you watch dance, as you've mentioned as well. And so my research specifically focused on exploring your self-concept of individuals when they're participating in a structured dance program. And my aim with this was to prove that dance can actually influence the way that we see ourselves and the way that we feel about ourselves. And the results from this was absolutely amazing because it really proved that significantly you can change the way that you feel and view yourself through dance. Because, dance requires different aspects of dance that require different mental, emotional, and psychological responses from you. For example, when you are learning a choreography, you need your memory, your spatial awareness, your coordination, and even your left and your right brain connection is completely necessary for you to execute that.
Yeah, sure. You said quite a mouthful, and I would I would wonder then, if you could explain to us, maybe in simple, plain English, what actually happens to your body, what happens to your hormones when you partake in movement such as dancing, like you're saying, and the connection that you're saying psychologically happens to one when we are dancing. So what actually happens in the body, in the brain, our hormones, all of that?
All right, so let's take an example. So most of us have been to a party or an event where there was dancing required, So there's always a circle, and you go up, and you never know who's first on the dance floor. But usually it's the most confident person, or either the person that's most intoxicated, or whatever it may be. But that person that goes up first, and then everybody follows, right? So, for example, what happens to you once you start actually giving yourself into those movements and into the dance? You start feeling a little bit happier. You start feeling a connection with people. You make eye contact and you dance together. So, of course, we know that those types of things exist. But on a psychological level, we also hold a lot of things within our bodies. So when we experience, for example, trauma or even happy, beautiful memories, these things we hold within our bodies. That's why certain things remind us of good stuff. Like a nice smell will remind you of a certain memory. Or if maybe you hurt your arm really badly once and you don't actually move that arm that much. Or when somebody taps you on the arm, you hold back and there's this trigger response that happens within you. And that's, we don't even realize a lot of things that we hold in our bodies are subconscious. We've sometimes pushed things down into our bodies, and our bodies don't forget. So it holds on to these memories in our cells, within our bodies, and it's called the idea of embodiment. We hold these things within our bodies. And then when you actually get up and move, these things are starting to release within your body.
Yeah.
And so when they start to release, it can be really confusing to you because you don't know where this stuff is coming from. And a lot of times this is what people face when they get up and move, especially when you go to a first dance class, or even when you do that, get up and move at a party.
Yeah.
So these things we are quite afraid of because we're scared that people will see us for who we truly are, or we're going to be too vulnerable, or we just don't know that there's something that I might cry about because I actually don't know what is happening with my body when I move.
Yeah.
And so that is sort of what happens, and that's where the conflict within ourselves happens when I say, okay, come dance with me, then we kind of afraid of those things. But it's also a beautiful process because once that does come to your conscious, it might not happen the first time you dance. After a while, you start realizing, oh, I actually haven't dealt with something from a few years ago, or actually I have issues with my my digestive system, for example, and I don't really try to move my middle part. So how can I focus on actually healing myself holistically once I become aware of these things?
Yeah, yeah. You know, a lot of people, when you say dance, they would switch off and think, not for me. I would say, I do my best dancing when I'm driving and I hear a great great song and I start moving in the car. But other than that, dancing is really not for me. I would say that I have two left feet, and maybe other people as well could be tempted to think that, dancing is not really for me. Let's leave it to, the Simones of this world because they are better at it. It's something that is talent driven and I simply don't have the talent for it, and would disengage from something like this. What would you say to those kinds of people?
I have completely been there.
Yeah.
I am one of those people that have found that in my spaces as well. And this is when I started realizing this link between psychology and dance, because when I was doing dance fitness, for example, people would come to me and apologize before the class even started. I'm so sorry, I can't dance. I'm going to be at the back. I've got two left feet.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would be with people who've danced with me for years and they'll still apologize for them. And so this was my idea, that I don't like the way that we have conceptualized dance in our society, because like I mentioned, we've all danced before. Somewhere you dance in your car. So how do you actually define dance? If I ask you the question, what is dance? How do you define it? So once we say, okay, this is how I define dance, and then that is how you will actually execute it. Because even in my studies, I've studied so many things. I've researched a lot of different papers from all over the world, and no one in this world can tell me what dance is. There is no real definition for it, because you can say it's movement, but then what is walking?
Yeah.
And then you can say, no, but it's rhythmical movement. Okay, but you walk with the rhythm as well. And with music, but you can dance without music.
Yeah.
So that is why I have actually come to believe that dance is for everyone, and that everyone can dance.
Yeah.
If you have a heartbeat, you have a rhythm, you have your own way of moving. And I think that is where I've looked at, how can I build that into a company to make it a space for people to really feel comfortable, to come through and just move the way that they naturally move, without fear of judgment or anything like that. Because honestly, it's actually just the way people are looking at me. It's our own ideas of how people see us.
That's true.
That actually make us feel resistance to dance, and that is also part of the dance psychology part of it. So how can we break those down and make you a little bit more confident in yourself, and that will also transpire into other areas of your life as well.
Yeah. So tell us about the programs that and the workshops that you run. Exactly what takes place, what does it look like, all of that.
Okay, so I offer a movement program and a dance workshop. So this is also why I try to move away from the word dance and try to move it into movement.
Yeah.
So we have our programs, and these focus on our physical, emotional, mental, and your social wellness through your movement. And this is open to all fitness levels, all dance levels, all ages.
Okay.
And specifically, the program Moving Through Dance is a 7-session program. So this actually stemmed from my research, and the 7 sessions explore different aspects of dance. We do dance fitness, dance choreography, choreography, some freestyle, some performances.
Nice.
And because all of those require different psychological and responses from you. So we start with finding the way that you naturally move and finding your actual groove. And then we build from that foundation. So we're not saying you have to dance a certain way. We're saying you move the way that you move.
Yeah.
And then we teach choreography. We teach breaking down of different body parts. How do you dance just with your head and shoulders? Or how do you dance just with your feet, with no other body part?
Yeah.
And because mostly we feel like we need to dance with every single part of ourselves. And it's okay to break those down. And then that also helps people to identify maybe where in the body certain things are holding them back.
Yeah.
And then also can work on their healing as well from that point. So the moving through dance also focuses on improving your self-esteem, understanding and building your confidence. So besides the 7 sessions, we also offer once-off workshops, which are like a 2-hour session. You could say it's like a team building type of thing. We offered it to corporates, we also recently did an expo. We do events. Where we come and we will, get people up and moving and just to feel natural, to feel comfortable and to interact with each other as well and just have fun.
Yeah.
And so that is what we offer.
I'm so interested now, and you'll share your details as to how we can also be a part of this movement of yours. But I'm also curious about maybe some stories that you can share with us, positive feedback, or people came back to you and told you how some of your workshops have helped them heal in some way or another. But I'm also curious about whether kids of any age are able to join in some of these workshops.
Yes. So, like I said, we open to all ages.
Okay.
And I would like to, in a sense, keep the kids, on in one workshop because they also interact with each other a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And then, of course, different age groups require different types of interactions. But I don't really discriminate on how we do this. So anybody can come and join at any time.
Yeah.
And so some stories, I think, a lot of interesting stories. I don't even know where to start, but I know that people have come back to me after dancing with me for a while, and they said how it changed their relationships, with their relationship with their husband. Their intimacy has changed.
Wow.
The way that they actually interact with other people, because once they realize how they move their own body, they sort of understand that they have a certain level of control as well. I've also had some stories where people have said they've never ever danced before until they've come to one of my workshops because their mother, for example, told them when they were 5, you can't dance, these things are not supposed to be done here in this house.
Wow.
And so it's a lot of breakthrough type of moments that happen because, we, like I said, we hold on to a lot of things that people have said to us or things that have happened. And dance is, we want to offer that space where people can come and just find yourself again and lose yourself at the same time,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people, even with really heavy trauma, come through, but I don't counsel them. I just open the space up, and I think that is where people find their own understanding of healing and go, okay, I actually haven't dealt with that traumatic experience. And once they realize that I have control over my own body and that nobody else is going to control my body anymore, for example, like people who have faced certain types of abuse as well. I wouldn't know any of that happened unless you tell me afterwards. And so you can see people have resistance to these types of things, and I can help people to try and let those things go without even knowing what issues you have or anything like that. That is where I kind of want to move away from the traditional way of psychological interventions. You don't always have to sit opposite someone and talk.
That's true.
That's true. Your entire body can go through this process of healing. And I think that's where you learn more about yourself as well.
100%. How do people reach you and find out more and make bookings, all of that, and the different kinds of services that you provide?
Yeah, so we are on all social media platforms. It's GODANCE TM on all socials. So there's GODANCE TM. Otherwise, they can also Google GODANCE Cape Town, and you can find all our information there. Reviews that people have left are there as well, and our link to our website is also there. Otherwise, directly, you can contact me, Simone Momplé, at godance.co.za. And I'm also Simone the Dancer on Instagram. That's my personal account.
Love that. Thank you so much for this conversation. Really enjoyed it. And I look forward to reaching out to you and also letting loose, as it were. Thank you so much for your time, Simone.
Thank you so much, Apelela.
It's all about wellness on Humanity Rise.